Hello, thanks very much for joining me again. This week I'm going to tackle the infamous snake fly. Now it's going to be quite a difficult one because it's quite a large fly, so you need to bear with me. There'll be a lot of jumping about from different camera angles, but I'll do my best to explain it. And I am going to tie it my own way, so if other people tie snakes and they fish a lot of snakes and this isn't quite the way they do it, well, my apologies, but this is how I do it. So basically, in the vise I have a Hanak H200 barbless hook. It's size 10, and this hook is going to be at the back of the fly. So I'm going to be using some of the Fish On Ultimate Tying Silk. This is the black one, what's left of it. And the first thing I'm going to do is add a layer of super glue to the shank of the hook, and then get a few wraps on. This just beds the thread in, which is quite important at this stage with the fly. And there's still quite a bit of super glue. I don't know how well you can see it there, but I can still see bubbles of super glue, which is ideal for what I want. Now I've got to work fairly quickly at this point. Now I'm going to add some of this stuff. Now it's carp mainline, and this one's around 15 pounds breaking strain. So I've already taken 15 centimetres of the carp mainline off, and before I do anything else I'm just going to rub it through my wax here. Just makes it a little bit easier to work with. And first thing I'm going to do is go down through the eye with it. So it goes down. Make sure you've got enough rat's tail there, and then I'm going to catch that in. Just try and keep it out your way. Then come all the way up, keeping a hold of the carp main line. Then when you get to the end, fold it back on itself, and then come all the way back up again. Okay, now I'm just going to remove this bit of waste. I could just fold it over and go over it again if I want it to be extra safe, but scissors are getting on the blunt side. I need to get a new pair soon. And then what I can do is tidy that all up. So what I've done effectively is I've attached this length of carp mainline to my hook, and it's coming out from the top of the eye. If you do it the other way, it comes for the bottom. It doesn't quite fish right, in my humble opinion. So try and make sure you've got it coming, when you put the line in, it goes down through the eye and not up. So a lot of people now would just take their zonker strip and lash it straight to the hook, and that's fine and well, but what I like to do is add a little bit of sparkle in. So I'm going to use some of this dubbing. I know you can't see the label, but it's Prism, and it's a black dub, and I needed a bit more than that. And what I want to do is start bringing the dub from the eye of the hook. So I'll just bring my thread back up to the top and get a little bit of dubbing on the hook. Just put that to the side, and then I can come all the way back to the rear of the fly. And that's good. So next, I'm just going to change camera angles now. So what you see on my vise is I've got my ruler here. So I've measured from the edge of my vise to 8 centimetres, and I've put a little red dot of red resin there. So the zonker trip I'm going to be using, which is Nature Spirits zonker strip in black, and I've cut, as you can see here, I've got my zonker strip, and what I'm using is the hide bit, not the hair, the hide. So the hide of the zonker strip is 8 centimetres long. I've measured it and cut it, and if I'm doing a lot of zonkers, I just put a little dot there. Sorry, if I'm doing a lot of snakes, I put a little dot there, and then I can just measure quite easily and cut. So I've switched back to my other camera now. I've got my zonker strip. So at the end here, I'm going to just part the fibres. Not right on the end, but it's pretty close. Yep, so I've got about just over 1/8 of an inch, if you can see that. And I'm going to catch that in on the end. 2 turns. Then I'm going to lift my zonker strip back and come all the way to the front with my thread. So I have got about 1/8 of an inch gap here. Then I'm going to bring my zonker strip over. If I just lick my thumb and forefinger, I can try and get some of them unruly fibres out the way. And then what I'm going to do is find the natural gap where my thread is. There it is. Pull that tight, and then I'm going to get 1, 2, 3 turns in there. Then I'm going to lift it. Make sure you've got your carp main line out the way, and I'm going to get a few turns in at the head. Now to finish off, I'm going to add a little bit of super glue to my thread, and then another few wraps. And this is a tricky bit, so I'm going to do a couple of half hitches, and I've made a loop now. So what I've got to do with this is get my carp main line through my loop so that I'm not going to catch that in. And then I can finish it off. And once that super glue goes hard, that will go nowhere. So that's the first part of the fly done. Yeah, I've got my strip in place and I've got my carp main line. So what's the next stage? I'm going to take this hook out of the vise and I'm just going to put it to the side. I'm going to grab another one of the Hanak size 10 still water hooks. This is a heavy wire hook. And I'm going to put that into my vise. So obviously now this is going to be the front of the fly. Now I've seen this done in several different ways. Again, I'm going to show you how I do it. So again, a layer of super glue. Just get that onto the shank of the hook. And get your layer of thread on. Now I'm going to come halfway up the shank and I'm going to stop there and come back. Remove my rat's tail. Now at this point I'm going to use my carp main line to come up through the eye of the hook. Sorry, bear with me. Like so. Okay, so now you've got your carp main line running through, and there's the back of my hook. Now I can determine how long I want my zonker to be at this stage. So as I mentioned before, I mentioned 8 centimeters this strip is. So what I'm going to do is bring my zonker strip to the eye of my hook and stretch out the tail. Now you won't be able to see that off camera, but I'm just stretching out how long it's going to be. Okay, I'm content that that's going to be okay. I'm now going to catch in a couple of turns, and I'm going to bring my carp main line onto the top of the shank, and I'm now going to catch that in. Then I'm going to bring the rat's tail over the top, and I'm going to catch that in. I can then remove my rat's tail and bring the remainder of my fly up. So there it is. Now next, I'm going to just put the strip out the way, and I'm going to add a little bit more of my glister to the shank. Now I've seen them with just bare hooks and they seem to be just as effective, but I just like to add a little bit of dressing to make it feel like a fly. Okay, so I've got that little bit of glister in there, and now I'm going to bring just going to clear a little bit of the fur and add that in there. Like so. Okay, so I've now got my my zonker attached, and I'm going to add some beady eyes to this fly. So I've got some chain bead here, and don't use your scissors to cut this, for goodness sake, or you'll end up with scissors like I've got, blunt. Get yourself a pair of wire cutters or pliers with the wire cutter thing, and just take off two, so you've got your bead. So next, I'm going to catch my bead on the front of my fly, a couple of turns that way, and a couple of turns that way. Now again, you could just lash that on and finish up, but I'm going to add a bit more of my prismatic dubbing here. And I'm going to start with a couple of turns behind the eye, then a couple of turns over, just going to add a little bit more dubbing. And then I can finish that up at the front, like so. Now, just as I'm finishing the fly here, I'm using super glue this time. Just put a bit of that onto the thread. This is how I've tied them for a few years now, but I haven't had a conversation with Wayne Jones recently. I'm thinking about changing the way that I attach my hooks together, because he seems to reckon that the carp main line's good for mobility, so you get all that mobility, but what you lose is you get quite a few tangles with this. So he uses a much stiffer attachment here. So if you buy a snake from the fly shop, this bit here is much stiffer, so it doesn't tend to tangle as much, whereas I do suffer a bit from tangles with my snake flies, especially these big long ones. So this, in total now, it's 10 centimetres the fly in total. So what I'm going to do to finish off is open my vise up, and I've clamped it in there well. And I'll try and keep this in shot, but I'm simply going to take away this bit of the hook with my pliers. So what I'm left with, and I'll bring this back into focus, is just that at the front. And that's all it is at the front. So if I switch back now to my other camera, you can see the finished fly. Now, if you're of a mind to, and I sometimes, depending on what mood I'm in, will add a little bit of flash in at the head if it takes my fancy, or I might add a little throat of a different contrasting colour. But essentially, that's the snake fly. I hope you enjoyed it. If it's not how you like to see them tied, well, go elsewhere. No, I'm only kidding. Thanks very much for watching. If you like what I'm doing here, please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. First method, if you want to make them up, that's how to do it.